Hey guys, welcome to my channel BNB. And today's episode, we have a very special guest here with us today, Mr. Logan Fry. So let me tell you a bit about Mr. Logan Fry. He is 76 years old, and his story goes like this. Back in 2005, he was cast as an extra in Spider-Man 3. Yes, and then he fell in love with making movies, and he started making films from 2014. Animation, comedy, and then horror. Yes, and he's a self-taught filmmaker, and he has even troubles in getting his films seen in US, Great Britain, but he has decided to conquer the world, and he has made films in Russian language, he has made films in Romanian language, Italian language, using voiceover of course. And throughout this conversation, we are gonna figure out and try to decode how do you make films with low cost to no cost. That's our agenda for today. You guys are watching Minding My Business, and I'm your host, Avi. Okay, guys, we are live, and let me welcome Logan again with us. And let me start the discussion because I've already given your introduction in a video before, which I've already shot. So, let's start with Logan. I will allow you to speak now, sir, about your journey first. Let's start with your journey because I'm very interested to know this.
Let me just start to say that I started my career as an attorney, and then I became a weaver, and I wove designs like microchips, circuit boards, barcodes, things like that as a weaver. I have it in museum collections here in the United States. But back in 2006, in the newspaper, there was a posting about a new movie being made in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was Spider-Man 3. And they were shooting a scene for Spider-Man 3, and they wanted extras. I went into the casting call, and they hired me as a precision driver. So I'm driving a car during one of the scenes. And I just decided I like movies and making movies and doing movies. And that was, again, 2006. So that's 14 years ago. What I found in making movies, though, is that everyone I ever talked with on a movie set has an idea for a movie. And they want to make a movie. And they want somebody to help them make the movie. But everybody around them is making their own movies. And just don't have time to do it. So if you want to make your own movie, you have to learn how to make it yourself. So that's where I started.
And before this, you had no idea. Before Spider-Man, you were not associated with any films of any kind. Other than watching movies, no involvement in making them, right? Or this was your very first.
Well, okay. I've always been interested in digital technology, and I don't know if you've ever heard of a system called Povray, but one of my daughters is a research chemist and uses Povray, P-O-V-R-A-Y, to create models for molecules. And there's spinning models for molecules, but you can also use this system to create scenes and things like that. So my very first little movie was basically just inside of a museum because I was a weaver and they had my works on the wall. So I would do things like that. But Spider-Man 3, that I started making my own movies. Okay,
Logan. Thanks very much for this because I was reading your profile as well, and the other day even Kevin shared your IMDB page as well, which I went through, and you have made quite a lot of films. From the time you started, it's a lot, and I saw your announcement for I think another movie casting which you have given an advertisement for the other day, I believe.
Right. So this afternoon, when we're finished here, I'll get ready. I'm going to go up to Cleveland. I'm going to shoot a scene for my movie, The Last Man on Earth.
Yes.
And it's basically a guy, the virus is hit. He's at home. He thinks it's all fake news, nothing to it. But he gets sicker, and as he watches the news and news reports, he starts to understand that it's getting worse and worse. He talks with his friends. He has a friend in Germany. He's got friends. He looks at news broadcasts, and he sees that it's getting worse and people are dying. And then finally, people are coming back from the dead as zombies. So the scene I'm shooting in Cleveland is set in Russia, in Volgograd, Russia.
Okay.
And it's going to be a newscaster. He's going to have his little microphone.
Okay.
Yes. Made his little microphone, and in the background would be the zombies.
Okay.
Now we talk about low-cost filmmaking. I can't go to Russia and make a movie.
Obviously, yes.
My daughter's been in Russia, but I've never been in Russia. I can't go there. So I have to find places in Cleveland that look like Russia. And Cleveland is an industrial town, and Volgograd is an industrial town. Cleveland has oil refineries, and Russia has oil refineries and storage. Cleveland has steel mills, and Volgograd has steel mills. So it's a good match. So I'm using Cleveland to be Volgograd, and that happens in movies all the time. Right. What you see, they say it's Los Angeles or New York or some other place, but it's really someplace else altogether. So I've got to make my scene look like Volgograd. So I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Beware zombies. And you can almost, this is the Russian word for zombies. You can almost see it right out. Now, this warning here is, I couldn't read it. But anyway, I make signs like that. I can hang it on the chain link fences. And then so it's going to look like Russia. It's going to look like Volga.
Yes.
And then finally, I'll need people who can speak Russian. And I don't go to somebody that took Russian in college and maybe pretty good. In Cleveland, there are people who were born in Russia and live in Cleveland, came to Cleveland. So I find people like that who can speak Russian, who can be my newscaster. And my zombies don't say anything, so they just have to look, maybe like someone from Russia. And basically, that's basically for them, wearing plain clothes, nothing fancy, nothing that says Adidas or any kind of American things. It's not going to have the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Cleveland Browns on a sweatshirt. So I get all of the elements, very low cost, to create a scene that looks like it's being shot, in Russia. And it'll be a lot of time maybe, but very inexpensive.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, the thing is, again, Russia is something which I cannot create Russia in Dubai, like very difficult. You cannot create Russia probably in India, but maybe, you are in a very lucky place as well, I would say that way. I mean, in US or maybe some parts of UK, you can actually show those places as Russia. But I think, it's pretty impressive. I mean, if you get your location right, you are pretty much sorted there. But what do you do of your cast? Let
me break in a minute though, Avi. I want to say one thing. It would be very hard for me to represent Dubai or Abu Dhabi, any place from Cleveland, Ohio, or anywhere in the USA, because you have architecture which is unheard of, and you've got, we could do deserts. We can go out on the desert, and we can have a Jeep that has, maybe Arabic on it. We can do that, but to match, and we might even be able to match inside of some of the buildings with buildings here in the U.S. But to match the scenery of that surrounds you would be very difficult to match. So what would happen in a big film production, they might send a team, out to out there and film all of the exteriors so that it looks like you're there, and then film the interiors. Either build a set in a soundstage, or find buildings in the U.S. that are also very dramatic and new and extraordinary. So.
Oh, very nice. I mean, this is something which even I wanted to actually talk in depth with you on this, because today's my main focus, my main agenda is to talk about low cost filmmaking. So what I want to ask you is now, I mean, suppose you have a project ready. I mean, you have your script ready, and say you have booked your September, say like the whole month of September as your schedule, like that's when you will shoot. So what are your checkpoints? Like, I mean, regarding the cost, I mean, how much do you spend, say, on your actors, maybe for your
Okay, let me tell you, I don't, all of my actors are free. Nobody, I don't pay anybody. There's a few actors that have special skills or special talents or do something that are a little bit out of the ordinary. And if you've seen some of my films, you might know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I don't want to get into it in the interview, but for special, or let's say a stunt, if I want a particular stunt, I'll probably have to pay a stunt person to do that stunt, catching on fire or jumping off of a building. But I don't usually have that in my films anyway, so that's not a problem. So all of my actors, with a couple exceptions, work for free, and they're overjoyed to be in movies themselves.
Of course. I mean,
no problem.
I would. So what I want to know is, Logan, like, do you hire only actors, or say, there's a guy who could speak really good Russian, he wants to act in a film. Like, would you also go and experiment with them? Because, I mean, I'm just asking, like, suppose you have given an advertisement and, there is a guy who comes up to you and says, I haven't acted before, but I would like to be part of your film. Do you accept those entries as well?
Well, the way I found the Russian actor is a film that's all action and no dialogue. There's nobody speaking in the film. Okay. It's a film where I have the coronavirus. It's a short film. I have the coronavirus. I'm in bed. I'm dying. I'm just in bed, and I have overlays where I'm just tossing and turning, and then it goes to what I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm thinking all of these images of death, like a grim reaper and buzzards and crows and skeletons and bodies that are dead bodies dragged across the floor, and then it comes back to he's tossing and turning in bed. His wife has already died, and she's coming back with a pillow and smothers him, and now they're together again, husband and wife, together again in heaven. Very loving story, sort of, except it's about the coronavirus and dying, but they're together again. So it's all action and no dialogue. So I've done it in English, but I've also done it in Romanian, in Russian, Spanish, Italian. I can put any language on top of the film, and it's a film that looks like it's made for the country that's going to show the film.
Okay.
To find my Russian actor in the U.S., we have on Facebook, we have film groups of actors. So people that are casting a movie can put a casting call on Facebook. It's free. It's just an actors group. And you put it into the different Screen Actors, Film Works, things like that. And then people respond to your call. You talk, see what they can do, and then you can cast them into your movie. And that's how I found my Russian voiceover actor for that film. And then, because I'm making another film, I've decided, why not set the film in Russia? Because I've got somebody that speaks Russian. So I hadn't planned it for my film, but when I make a film, I adapt to what's available, what I have. So I'll rewrite the script to put a Russian scene in, And it doesn't really matter if the plague and the zombies are whether it's Barcelona, Spain, or down in Montevideo, Uruguay, or it could be anywhere. It's just a worldwide plague. So I made this scene for Russia. I've got a Russian newscaster who can say the words, and I'm going to shoot it this afternoon.
So, Logan, can you tell me something about, say, about the actors? Okay, you get actors who you need not pay them, but what about the other production costs? Like, do you shoot yourself or do you have a cinematographer? Like any other cost during the film? Say, there would be something like where your cost suddenly, oh, okay, I got to spend here. I want to know what other costs do you think do come up at times?
I went to a film festival with one of my movies, and I went as Kassel, Germany.
Okay.
And it was their Fantastische Trash Film Festival in Kassel, Germany. They liked my movies, and so I went to support my movie. And I learned that maybe what I'm making, it's not very, it doesn't sound too impressive, but maybe I'm making trash films. And I'm sure you've heard of Ed Wood Jr.,
Yes.
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yes.
And there's another filmmaker from Baltimore, Maryland, named Don Dohler, and he made films like Night Beast, and he made these really bad science fiction movies, but he had a real following. He went to conventions. People within his category of films, people knew him and looked up to him. I found that it's making maybe trash films. The way I started is in terms of cost. So this was my first camera.
Okay.
I made my first movie. It's like a little Canon. It has internal audio, so I can pick up sound. And the first one was 740p. Not a real big format.
Okay.
Then I got a second one, almost identical, that could shoot 1080p.
Okay.
And my first couple of films were shot with that. I bought I had construction lights, and I had an Apple computer. An Apple computer comes with iMovie.
Yeah.
So that was my edit program. So it didn't cost very much to make my first couple of films. Once I got into it, I got another camera, which is a little better. So this you might recognize as, it's a pretty standard digital DSLR camera.
That's what I use.
It's not expensive, but it's a good camera.
Yes, it's amazing. You can do what you cannot do. It's mind-blowing. You can do wonders actually with that.
I did that. iMovie wasn't quite doing the job that I wanted. It didn't have the features that I needed. So I got Final Cut Pro. So that has a lot of editing features. I'm not going to make a movie that's going to compete with Spider-Man or I Am Legend, but
obviously.
I'm never going to have that kind of budget, and it's not the kind of movies I'm making.
Like that. Maybe this is a genre, I think, obviously. When we start out also, we don't aim for Spider-Man, at least the first one, we want something, we want a story to be told. And I think, you think zombie stories actually have more scope when you start out? I think that is something which I have seen with a lot of new filmmakers. I personally want to make some as well, because you need not spend so much and you can actually do with the Halloween makeup,
Well, some people think that zombie movies are the worst movies in the world. But here's the thing. And these are people who are, they sort of have a big impression of themselves, and they think of themselves as big movie makers. But zombie movies are popular. People are going to watch zombie movies. They're not too expensive to make. And if people watch them, if you have an audience, and you have an audience that enjoys the movie, why not make the movie? So I don't do all zombie movies. I do other kinds of horror movies, and I do some little animations also. But I have movies with Bigfoot, big monster that comes through. I have movies with, spaceships and aliens. I actually had one where an alien comes down there's an old movie, I think it's about 1954, called The Robot Monster. It's an old science fiction. I don't know if you've ever heard it or seen it.
I have not, but I will check it out.
It's one of the old black and white science fiction movies. And basically to make it, they had a gorilla suit and a helmet on top of the gorilla suit. And that was basically it. And then they shot it in a canyon in the Los Angeles area. So that was the setting for the movie. That was pretty cheap. So I decided to duplicate that, but to add some other little special features to it. So it came out to be, there's two titles. I'll only use the one title on this show. So the title that I'll use on this show is Robob, the Flatulent Robot Monster. I can't tell you the other title, but that's when I show it in a library or a church group or something like that. This is the version that I show, so that it's acceptable for everyone. Some of my movies aren't acceptable for everyone. I'm sorry.
So Logan, I mean, one more question for you, which I wanted to ask is, what is your general length of your film? And how much time do you actually take to, after scripting? Maybe scripting, it will take some time, but from start to finish, editing and release, how much time do you take? And what is the length of your films in general? Are all of them shorts?
So I wanted to make it a feature film length. So it ended up being 37 minutes.
Okay.
But when you submit films to film festivals, 37 minutes is a long time. So you better have a pretty decent film for the festival to want to put your show on. So I would re-edit it to different lengths depending on the film festival. So I got the 37-minute film down to the very, very basics, about 7 minutes long.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I cut a lot of really great scenes, but I got it down to 7 minutes. Then it got into more film festivals at that length. Have you ever heard of Trauma Films? No, these are very bad. It's a very bad film company in the United States, and they make they have terrible films. They don't pay anybody anything for the films. Most of my films now, I would say, would be 15 minutes or less.
Okay.
I want to get better as a filmmaker, and as I get better as a filmmaker, then I can make a feature film, and that feature film will be a better film. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to try to make a feature film that nobody's going to see because it's too long and not good enough to show in film festivals. A lot of my films don't do that well in the United States, but they have been shown in 15 countries around the world. I had 2 films just accepted into a film festival in Turkey. I submitted to an Iranian film festival, but I also submitted to one in Iraq and Morocco and Turkey. I have one right now in Bahrain.
Okay.
So there's a film festival in Bahrain. It could be that I submitted an animation to that festival, but I'm hopeful that it will get into to that festival. I'd like to bring one to you. India has been a great country for me, and they have a lot of film festivals all over India.
Yeah.
My next step, I think, to actually make money is you can put your films on Amazon.
Yeah, I think it's Prime Video, where if we watch it, you get paid. I mean, that's another good step.
But there's there are actually a couple problems with Amazon. Number one, I've been told by other filmmakers that they have quality specifications to accept your films. They have also specifications as to, whether they're popular subjects or not, whether it fits in. And then finally, even if you get your film on Amazon, they take a really big bite out of your film. You're not getting a whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
True.
Some of my friends suggested Vimeo.
Vimeo.
And, yeah, and you can do a Vimeo on demand, put your movies up, and basically you get, except for paying for the service. Let me tell you about a couple ways that I make films. The film that I'm making right now is The Last Man on Earth. I think I mentioned it.
Yes.
And so because of the lockdown and because of coronavirus, you can't really get a whole lot of people together. So in filming a scene like today, it's going to be a small cast. They're all going to be spaced out, so they're not going to be all together next to each other. And they'll all be wearing masks. It might look funny to have zombies wearing masks, but that's the way it's going to be. These are going to be zombies wearing masks.
Yeah.
I'm not paying anything. I make my own props. I'm going to do it guerrilla style. I don't have any permits, and I'm hoping the police don't stop me. That's a possibility. And the actors are free. An actor in Germany that I met, and he did a film where he filmed in his apartment. So he sent me the clip of how he was. He's actually dying from coronavirus. He sent me the clip, and then I pasted it together using Final Cut Pro. So it looks exactly like this. It looks exactly like a Zoom screen. So I'm on one side, he's on the other side. So I'm talking back and forth with him, and we match up our dialogue. So we do it at different times, but it looks like we're talking together.
I think we all have developed during Corona. I mean, this is something which even I have tried, where my friends stay in a different place and we shoot and edit in such a way that, my dialogue synchronizes with yours and it looks like they're having a conversation. I get your point. Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. Another thing I've done for this movie, George Romero's first movie, The Night of the Living Dead. I have the zombies walking across the field, and I'm going to shoot a scene in my house. I'm going to take the window out and put the zombie scene, the Romero zombie scene, behind it, and it's going to look like the zombies are walking outside my house. I'm using another scene from The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price.
Yes.
And that was in 1964. So I've taken clips from that scene where he's describing the plague back at the time as a bacteria rather than a virus, but he's describing that. So I set up a conversation with Dr. Morgan from The Last Man on Earth. So I'm on one side, he's on the other side, and I've got to match up my dialogue to his. So I know what he's going to say, so I've got to match my dialogue so that I can ask him a question that he can answer. So we go back and forth like that. So archival footage in the public domain is free, so I can use that. I've actually made more movies during this period than at any other time. So what I do is I go find free festivals that cost $5, $10, $15. I try to submit early instead of later so that I get the best cost. And chances are that a festival that charges $30 or $40 are either in it to make a lot of money for themselves, or they're going to have standards that are so high that I'm not going to get in the festival anyway.
True.
So it wasted. I spend a lot of money. That's my biggest expense, really. So in Film Freeway, I'll put in keywords to do a search. So I'll put a country in, like Russia, and I'll see what festivals, are available in Russia and still open, and still at a good price. And then if it looks like a festival that would accept the kind of work that I do, I'll submit there. So I'll go by country or region even, and then I'll go by keyword. Like horror is such a huge genre that if you put horror in, you're going to get 1,000 film festivals. So that's not going to tell you a whole lot. But if you put in other terms, it'll take you to festivals that, let's say, trash film will take you to a certain
zombies. You can have dedicated zombie film festivals all over Europe. I think in Romania, I think Romania, and I don't know in Romania, but all over the Eastern Europe, I think there are a few zombie film festivals as well, which I saw, I think.
2 films pending in Romania, and the one is that film that I talked about, and I have a Romanian speaker who does the full dialogue, and the title of the film is in Romanian, and I even did the credits in Romanian. The whole thing is in Romanian. I don't know if that's going to give me a better shot or not. I hope so. And so I try to find festivals that like the kind of work that I do, and that's where I submit. And if I find a festival that doesn't like my work, I don't submit again. I'll just go someplace else.
And how much time, Logan, you take to shoot your films? Like, say, you're going to shoot this afternoon. Are you going to film the entire thing today, or like maybe in parts?
Oh, at least two, maybe 3 days of work, and then the shoot will be maybe 6 hours, because I'm going to try to get in 2 locations. We have rain to worry about. We have a lot of rain. We have to worry about rain. So 3 days to make a 1-minute segment of film. Because I'm not in the business of making movies, and because I don't have to justify my cost to anybody, I really don't keep the kinds of time records that could answer your question. I write a film, and then I do whatever's necessary to make the film, and then I'll use parts of that film to make other films. So I'll take a clip out of that film, use it for another film.
Okay, understood. You don't say, you have a script and you go and shoot the whole film. No, it's not like that. You can use some parts for the other film. Okay, that's nice. Okay.
And I'll write the script, but then as I'm making the movie, I'll change the script to meet the circumstances. I may add a new actor, and that new actor I'll make up new lines for that actor. So I'm very flexible.
Okay.
So one thing before we end our conversation that I want to say is I have one way of making movies, and for me it's successful, and other people have other ways of making movies. But I think the important thing is to don't go out and buy a couple $1,000s worth of film equipment and start making movies thinking that you're going to compete with Hollywood, because it's never going to happen. So do what I do, and start with a small little camera with an inexpensive editing program, and slowly build up from there until you get better and better. Your movies get better, your equipment gets better, and your cost get maybe a little bit more, but keep your costs down by using actors who are work for free. And that can be your family and your brothers and your sisters. And the way I make films is different than maybe other people, and it's one method. I think everybody needs to find their own method, their own niche. It's all you learn in the process, and you get better in the process, and you keep going and never give up. If you like it, you just don't give up.
Correct. That's what I was going to ask. You already answered my question. The key aspect is obviously, I've seen people who go and buy all sorts of stuffs, but you can make movies out of a mobile phone. I think iPhone X is, if you have an iPhone, I think you can, your half job is done. People, I think, they have started to understand this now during the lockdown, because I've seen a lot of short films made on iPhones and they look brilliant. Edited on, say, a Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, and they look like nice. It couldn't get better than that, like a film made on iPhone. So yeah, that's something nice. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell me how much, approx you would have spent or you're going to spend on this film which you're going to shoot today, like the approx budget after you say, excluding the festivals,
Well, okay, the festivals are going to be my only major cost. So, I'm going to spend a couple $100 easily. I'll spend a couple $100. I spend over $1,000, $1,200 a year for film festivals, and that's my really only major cost. But I have all my equipment, so there's no cost there. I have to buy a little SD card to record. So, that's $30, $20 for an SD card. I've got my lighting equipment in case I need to put light. If we shoot a little, it's outdoors, so all natural light. But if it gets dark, and before we get everything done, I'll at least put some LED lights on the newscaster, so he will be in good light, and the zombies will be in sort of dull light in the background. Still look good, maybe look better than the other scenes. It's a short movie, maybe 15 minutes, maybe. The whole movie's going to cost less than $100.
Wow!
Green screen saves me a lot of money, because I can get backgrounds for behind my actors, so I can set up, television studios, or I can put them on the street someplace, anywhere. I don't make movies that will ever compete with Hollywood, or they're never going to be big movies. Maybe I'll get good enough someday that somebody would be willing to help finance a movie, but I don't need that to continue to make movies, because I like making movies.
Amazing. Yes. I mean, that was pretty insightful. I mean, Logan, this is something which I think you are very lucky to have actors also, who are working for free, and it's a privilege which you have, I think, which everyone doesn't, and it's very nice. I mean, it's a good privilege to have, I think, and this is something which even I would like to incorporate, because cost is something which, of course, I'm not going to go to Hollywood or anywhere else, not now. I mean, someday, if it works out. But this is an amazing process. I mean, something which I would want to even do it myself.
If you're working with friends, you've got somebody that can do your audio, somebody that can shoot the film, somebody that can edit it for you, and you're going to end up, with a better movie, or it's going to be a different movie. So you work with the resources that you have, and you don't necessarily work. You want people to notice your films and to be aware of your films, but you just can't be worried about whether everybody likes your films, because they're not good. I can't get everybody. I mean, a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but some people think that I make terrible films, and maybe I do, but I've been pretty successful doing what I do.
Yeah. Perfect, Logan. I think I can bring our podcast to an end, and I think you have, covered a lot of points. I think, this is something which it's a very learning experience for me as well, because, we all want to make films with low cost. That is something which I want to master, and amazing. I think the way you make, I think that is something which I would want to practice. Guys, I hope you like this video. Please put down in the comment section what other kind of podcast topics you want me to visit. I'm trying to invite different people from different walks of life and understand their profession, what they do. So guys, please tune in, please comment, please subscribe, and I will see you in this channel next week. Thank you.